I did improv,
Oh, yeah.
right, for a couple of months.
And they end up in despair, or sometimes end up, passing before their time, or, going to drugs and alcohol and things. But
Started to talk about you being the 7th-degree black belt in karate, and,
Yeah.
and we talked. You said a lot of resiliency comes from that. Talk to me about that, and also tell me the statistic. You started telling me about a statistic.
As you know, we use this platform to share stories of resilience. And today I have a very special guest.
Hey everybody, welcome again to the Sally Allen podcast. This is your host, Sally Allen, and today we have this incredible guest, Anthony Tesoro. And his resume is pretty impressive. He's very humble. When I asked him how to introduce him, he just said, just say my name is Anthony Tesoro. And I couldn't just do that because it's so impressive what he does. I have to tell you, I wrote it down. He's a pastor. He's a martial artist for 40 years. He's an actor and a stuntman. And he was just in a movie, filming a movie with Mel Gibson called Boneyard, which will be released next year. You
Oh,
said?
yeah, most likely
Released
next year.
And a 7th-degree black belt in karate, which he said only 1% of people achieve that level in karate. He's a very interesting person because I don't see too many pastors who are martial artists and also actors.
Yeah. Maybe me and George Foreman are the only two. Because, he's a preacher also. Preacher,
Yeah.
boxer, actor.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Sally Allen podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Well, thank you
I'm
for
honored to be
allowing
here.
me. Yes, yeah. So, as you know, like we share a story of resilience on this podcast, and one of the things you started to say, look, there is a lot of resiliency in what you do. Oh wait, I just had a question regarding your stunt. Let me write that down because I'm going to ask you later. Did you get hurt? But for now, tell us, how did you go from which one started first? Was it being a pastor? Was it you're being a martial artist? Was it being an actor? How did you get to all of those?
Okay, well, they all kind of started when I was a child, and it kind of organically developed over my youth and my teenage years into my young adult years. So I was raised Catholic, and went to all my Sunday schools and everything. And so when I was a kid, I thought I want to be a priest one day because I thought God was great. I saw priests helping people. So when I was really young, I wanted to be a priest. Until I became a teenager and realized a priest meant that you never had a woman. So priest was out the door instantaneously. Then as I got older and transitioned my faith into non-denominational Christianity, and then still felt that calling and tug on my heart to share God's love with people. Then I became a pastor. Got married to Ashley, my wife, my beautiful
So
wife.
you did non-denominational because you could have a wife.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, want to have a wife, a family. With all due respect to the priest, but for me, a wife and children was definitely in the plans.
Yeah.
So I have my wife Ashley, my 3 children, Gabriella, Anthony, and Valentina, which I'm so happy. But in my youth, my dad trained me to be a fighter. My dad was a very tough guy, and my dad trained under Chuck Norris when he was young, and then he trained me and my brothers in martial arts, and then we came under formal training under Tom Bloom, who was an international champion, and he was trained by Chuck Norris, and he did movies, and Chuck obviously did movies. He became a big movie star after he was.
So Chuck was a trainer at first?
Yeah. So Chuck, when he was in the Korean War in Korea, he learned Korean karate. He was a military police in Korea. He learned Korean karate. He came back, and then he started a system called American Tung Sudo, or American karate, and that's what I trained under. His lineage, him and Pat Johnson, and Tom Bloom was my specific grandmaster, and they all were involved in the entertainment industry too, which is kind of how I always looked up to them. Chuck, obviously a famous movie star. Pat Johnson was the stunt coordinator in all the Karate Kid movies, and he was a grandmaster in the system. My instructor Tom was always doing different movie things and TV things, and there's all these Hollywood people coming into our studio to train for their shows. Like Lorenzo Lamas would come in and train, and Blake Foster from Power Rangers. He was, a kid in there at the time. So there's all these movie star martial artists. So I kind of came up seeing that. So that's that part that kind of morphed into what I'm doing today.
Yeah, wow. That's very impressive, the people you trained under. So how did you go? Were you doing this when you met Ashley or after you met Ashley?
So when I met Ashley, I had a Bible study, like a Hollywood Bible study that all these different celebrities would come, and I just wanted it to be a place where people in the entertainment industry that had a common faith could come together and kind of, pump each other up, keep each other lights shining bright, stay encouraged, and then to go back and, do what they do in the entertainment world. And she was one of the actresses that came at the time. We're talking about my wife, Ashley. She was an actress on The Bold and the Beautiful at the time when we met. And she came to the Bible study. A mutual friend of ours that was an acting coach invited her. And then I saw this beautiful young actress. And then she was also raised in a Christian home, and her family came from like Pentecostal Christianity, which is the exact opposite of Catholicism. So she was in the audience when I was sharing, like teaching from the Bible. She was like, "Amen, hallelujah, that's right." And I look, and it's this, little cute girl just, amening me away. So we met afterwards, and long story short, her and I were married 8 months later because I wasn't gonna let her get away. So
Yeah. Well, did you remember that she was the girl you saw in class?
no,
Or
we
did you know?
figured that out later because I told her, I'm not an actor right now, but when I was a kid, I did some acting, and I trained under John Homa. And she goes, "Well, that's who I trained under." John had a place called The Shop in Burbank, which was a famous acting school where all these young Hollywood kids went. And she goes, "Wait, I was there." And then I put two together. I was like, "Wait, she goes, "Yeah, my mom used to help out in there." And I was like, "Well, wait, I remember your mom watching me do a scene one time." And so, then
Yeah.
her and I didn't meet till, again, 7 years later. And when we got married, she was 18 and I was 24. I met her like the day after she turned 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we been married for 22 years.
Wow, so incredible, so incredible.
Yeah.
So, do you find it difficult? I mean, Hollywood and God doesn't really go together.
So you hear that all the time, and you kind of see that represented when people talk about it over the
Yeah.
media. But in person, everyone's like really into God and spirituality that I run into on sets. Like no one is like, "Oh, I can't believe, you're a pastor. Or, I can't believe you're a Christian."
Right.
Everyone's cool. Like everyone, just as long as you respect their thing, they're going to respect your thing. And I'm not somebody
Yeah.
that Bible bashes. That's just not my
Right.
thing.
Right.
I'm not a Christian to be religious and legalistic.
Right.
I'm a Christian because that's like the basis of my system of spirituality,
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so if that rubs off on people, then then so be it. But I'm not somebody that's bashing anyone over the head with anything. So I think that's anywhere you go, not just Hollywood. No one wants to be bashed over the head with anything about nutrition, about politics, about religion, faith. So I just am who I am, and if it impacts people, good, and if not, that's okay too.
So, what you're saying from your perspective, if you're being respectful and you're not hitting people with the Bible over the head, then people are generally respected
Yeah,
in
most people.
Hollywood.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
In Hollywood,
yeah,
because
Hollywood.
because
Yeah,
we hear such stories. You know what
yeah,
I'm talking about.
yeah. I'm sure there's some weird people in
Yeah.
Hollywood, but there's weird people everywhere,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
good people everywhere. But yeah, everything I've experienced is, I work with people that are Muslim and people that are Jewish, and we all
Yeah.
call each other brother, especially like in the stunt world, because you kind of it's a brotherhood. You have each other's back,
Yeah.
and you kind of know what it takes to be in there, and you're all kind of cut from the same cloth and all a little bit crazy to be doing it.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about the stunts. And I wrote down, do you ever get hurt like during your stunts?
Oh, I've only been hurt one time, which was a movie I did a year ago. I got hurt filming it, but I didn't realize it. It was just kind of like, oh, whatever, and I shook it off. And then like within a month, my bicep detached from my elbow. So I had, I frayed it so
Oh my
bad that it was
gosh.
just barely hanging on. And then I was just doing a simple technique training, and all of a sudden I felt my bicep just pop off. And then it was up here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, that's not good. So I had to go have it surgically reattached. So I'm like 10 months post-surgery. And I feel like I'm fully, healed and recovered. But I was 2 months post surgery when I did the movie, the with Mel Gibson and 50 Cent, and I wasn't doctor released, but I just put on like multiple like elbow braces and stuff and hid it under my uniform, and I just went in and I did it, and I kicked butt, and no one knew. Because you kind of you don't want to miss an opportunity like that.
Yeah.
And I made sure when I died in character, I fell to my left side.
Oh.
And I babied my hurt arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened. But most of the time, we all, again, we watch stunt guys, you watch each other's backs. Like one movie I was doing, a friend of mine that I train with all the time, really good stuntman named Nino, he had to go headfirst through a wall. And they literally just look in the back and go, okay, here's a spot where there's no 2x4s. You're going to go right through the ply wall. So I'm like, and they're just like, all right, hurry up. We were running out of time. But then we know, okay, this is going to be dangerous. So we run in the back and we, use an X-Acto knife to weaken the wall from behind. We put a pad behind there. I show them, okay, here's the X marks the spot, but it's like a poster, but you need to go head first right through the part of the poster. And he went head through and landed on the pad. And so we know everything's so, Hollywood's like, wait around until it's 100 miles an hour. So it's really slow. And you're like, and then they go, all right, get on set. We got to get this done. Hurry up. And then, so for safety things, in addition to like prepping beforehand, but once you're on set, we just watch each other's back. And so, not a lot of injuries happen.
Okay. So do you have an agent that books you, or?
No, I just through relationships and knowing people. And, my friend Jason, is a stunt coordinator, and we met at the gym, and he's like, "Oh, are you military?" I'm like, "Well, no, but I'm a martial artist." He's like, "Oh, we should work together. I do movies," and then I actually got him on something first, a comedy thing I did called Master Ken's Privates. It's Master Ken has entered the dojo on YouTube. It's got like 100 million views, and it's a comedy martial arts show. So I got my friend Jason on that, and then after that, he goes, "Oh, I got a movie. You want to be in the movie?" So we kind of just.
Right.
It happens organically when you build friendships and relationships with good people. You all kind of have each other's back, and I mean that's how you and I met, and that's why we're doing this show. So you know how it goes.
Yes, totally. I think it's part of building resiliency in community, right?
Oh, for
It's
sure.
part of being there for each other.
Oh yeah.
Like when Ashley reaches out and she asks for something, or she wants prayer or whatever,
Right.
she knows like we're there for
Yeah,
her.
it's good to have a tight knit
Yeah.
community that you
Yeah.
guys have each other's back, and support each other's things that are similar and respect each other's differences, and just it's about like building up others, and then they build you up, and you build up your little community. And
Yeah. I've heard you preach, and I love your style of preaching, especially when it comes to you're so cognizant, and the way you preach the word is that you don't, take the Bible and hit people over the head. When you preach it, people can understand exactly, no matter where you are in your faith
yeah,
or whatever walks of life you are,
yeah,
you can understand exactly where you're coming from.
yeah. Thank
And
you.
and you preach with love also.
Yeah,
It's not like you're gonna go to hell, you're gonna burn in hell.
yeah. Thank you.
There's none of that. It's
Yeah.
just love. And then the other thing you did, and I don't know if you probably know you do this. There's actually practical application when you preach also.
Yeah, that's important.
There's a message in there
Thank you.
about something you can do. So I absolutely
Yeah,
love
that's always
that.
been my heart, and me and my
Yeah.
wife's heart is to share the Word of God in a way that's practical and applicable to today's society. And there's good principles in there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if you can extract the principles and share with somebody, and then they go, "Oh wait, this works in my life," then they can say, "Well, maybe I need to press into God a little bit more and see what it's all
Yes.
about." Because
Yeah, it's a gift, right, to share it so that even non-believers can use those biblical principles. That's a
exactly,
gift.
exactly.
Definitely a gift. So we had started to talk about you being the 7th-degree black belt in karate, and,
Yeah.
and you said a lot of resiliency comes from that. Talk to me about that. And also tell me the statistic. You started telling me about a statistic of how many people make it to that level.
Yeah, well, statistically, they say that in any martial art, only 1% make it to black belt because you end up giving up. Whether it's karate, jujitsu, whatever it is, as you go up in rank, it gets harder, it gets more difficult, and most people don't have the resiliency. They end up giving up. And also, I started when I was a kid. I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, and most kids that do anything, the parents push them to do it. whether it's football or baseball or whatever it is, then they get burnt out by the time they're, done with high school, sometimes even before then. But to have the mindset to go, oh, no, this for me, I pretty young, maybe in junior high, I switched to, oh, this is going to be part of my life. This is not like, oh, I got to do this to like prove something to somebody or to like win a championship or to be tough. I just thought I like the way karate teaches you discipline, and you have to just do simple, basic things every day to build up your toughness, build up your resiliency. And I just made it part of my life. So I just do it every day. It's just a part of who I am.
Yeah, I love that. I think part of resiliency is building good habits,
Yes, for
but it's
sure.
also not just building those good habits. How do you make it into a lifestyle?
Right.
And that's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
making it into a lifestyle, because this is going to be a part of my life
Right.
every single day, and what I do, it flips your mindset,
For
right?
sure. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So was it hard? Like, how long did it take you to get to that level?
Okay, so like it took me like 6 years to get a black belt, and that's consistency every week, multiple times per week, the training at home. And I have to credit a lot of that to my father because he, when you're a kid, you're like, I just want to play. And he kept me on it, like, okay, play, but first we're going to train.
Yeah.
And so when you're a kid, you're like, I don't want to do this. And a good parent, I think, finds the things that they just let you say, okay, you don't have to do it. And then the things where they say, oh, no, you have to do this because I know it's going to be better for you in the long run. So that was one of the things with me that my father stayed on top of me about doing. And then I got my black belt. And then at that point, started, assistant teaching. But then I was doing other things. I was wrestling in high school. I played soccer for a lot of years. I played baseball. I did a lot of different things. And in my high school years, I still did my karate, but a little less. And then when I turned 18, um, I decided, oh, I'm going to continue to do this, like just as my lifestyle. And you have to overcome a lot of things. Like when you're young in it, it's like be in push-up position for a minute, and it's like, oh my gosh, a minute is, it's like planking. Everyone
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
planking for 5 minutes feels like a lifetime.
Uh
So
huh.
when you're a
Uh
little
huh.
kid and you're in push-up position, you're in a
Yeah.
plank
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
for a minute. It's like, oh my gosh, it takes forever. Or we have a stance called chumbe stance, which means ready stance, and you just stand there straight ahead. You don't move, you don't talk, and sometimes they make you do that for 10 minutes, and just to teach you self-control, just to have self-control, to not scratch, not itch, not move. So they teach us all those things. And then as you get older and you're doing fighting and things, you get hurt, you get cuts, black eyes, you get a bloody mouth, you bite your lip, you get a bruised rib, and you have to just suck it up and, and just
Yeah.
go home, put some ice on it, come back the next day. But my martial arts saved my life multiple times. And when I was a young adult, I had things happen where I got jumped by a gang when I was 18, and there was like 12 of them against me. And I came out victorious, and most people think because of the movies, you come out victorious, it means you knocked out 12 guys. But
Right.
I came out victorious is that I was able to fight my way to my vehicle and then drive away really fast.
Right. Right. Right.
That's a
Yeah. Yeah.
victory in a self-defense
Yeah. For
situation.
12 people.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I had to actually drive to the hospital
Right.
to get stitched up, but I'm alive, and I owe it to all those years of training. And then your second nature kicks in when you're attacked,
Yeah.
and you can make it out alive. So that's another side of the martial arts. It's not just about learning self-control and having like this Bushido mindset, in the Asian culture. So it's about your lifestyle, one-minded, one-focused. But it's applicable where you can save your life. So I'm
Yeah.
happy about that.
What's the Bushido mindset?
Bushido mindset is just about that your martial art is part of who you are. It becomes part of you. Like so, karate is actually like the full term is karate do, which means the way of the empty hand. So anything that's the way in the Asian culture, it's not just the techniques to learn fighting, but it's like, how do you become a better person through this? How does this make you somebody that has good self-control where you don't have to pick on people and abuse people because you've mastered yourself? Like it's martial arts. The way of martial arts is not about controlling others. It's about that you can control yourself. You can have
Yeah.
self-control in all situations, not just fighting, but in conversations, in business, in life, in parenting, in marriage. The mindset incorporates to everything you do.
Right, right. So if you were to talk to somebody and tell them, you should do this because this is some of the disciplines that came out of it, what are some of the disciplines that you've seen in your life that you've applied just by doing martial arts and being what do you call it here? A martial artist, yeah.
Yeah, martial artist.
Yeah.
So I think the way being a martial artist has helped me in my life is, again, self-control, um, resilience, self-defense, um, being tough, not only physically, but mentally, mental toughness. This is a tough world. And we all need to make it through, and you have to be mentally tough to make it through. And some people don't make it because the mental toughness wasn't built in there when they were young for whatever reason. And then as an adult, then life overwhelms them and they end up in despair, or sometimes end up, passing before their time, or, going to drugs and alcohol and things. But, our mind is very resilient, especially if you put faith in that mind, and you connect your mind with your heart. You can become so powerful. You can overcome anything and any obstacle. And that's how I can, I guess, combine the martial arts and the ministry world is, you need to be tough, you need to be disciplined, but you need to have love in your heart, and you need to love others. And the only way to have true love in your heart, from what I've experienced, is if you allow God in your heart. And when you allow God in your heart, then your heart becomes really alive for the first time. And then that's, you hear the church term being born again, and it's kind of thrown around loosely, but born again means we were born in the flesh. We're alive, obviously. We're living human beings, but when you're born again, it's a spiritual rebirth. The new term now is to have an awakening, so you have a spiritual awakening. But in Christianity, it's always been being born again. So you're born again, you have that awakening, and all of a sudden you're able to operate in a higher, consciousness, where you can see things and forgive, and you can extend mercy, and you can extend love even when people don't deserve it. But because you're walking in a higher way, or higher vibration, you're walking in a godly path.
You see, that's a preacher in you. You found a way to actually put a message. It was just so organically, you slipped it in there. Did you see that, Lana? You saw that? He just put a whole message in there.
Thank you.
in like 2 minutes, he just put a whole message in there. I love it.
I just try to be real,
Yeah, you are. I love it.
I think when you're, thank you so much. And I think when you're real, that people can feel your authenticity, and then they're more apt to listen to what you're saying.
Yes, I am listening to you in regarding some of the things. I want to go back to what you said, which I think is so powerful. Being a martial artist, you have to train your mind to be resilient.
Right.
There's a resiliency in that.
For sure.
Mental toughness.
Yep.
But when you couple that with being filled with the Holy Spirit,
right,
man, that's so powerful.
Oh, for sure.
Like as you said that, I picture you as being this powerful, resilient person, that this mental toughness. Because also when you're out there and then you're acting, also there's a mental toughness that has to come with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you were to teach somebody all of that, how would you rely that knowledge that you have when it comes to being filled with the Holy Spirit, having this mental toughness with being martial artists? You're an actor, and you need mental toughness for that.
Oh, for sure.
Right? How would you pour into somebody with those contexts?
Well, you could use scriptural stories really to do it, because a lot of times we think that Christianity, you're either supposed to be judgmental and harsh, or you're supposed to be a walking mat, but you're not supposed to be either one of those. The historical figure of Jesus of Nazareth, which there's thousands of historical documents that confirm, he lived, and that historical documents to confirm that the scriptures are real historical information, setting aside that we believe that they're scripture inspired by God, but just the historical person. He wasn't a hippie. People try to, well, he's a hippie and you got to just like love everyone, and that means let everyone mow over you and let everyone hurt you and let everyone wound you. But no, that's not who he was. He loved people, meaning he spoke the truth to them. He spoke the truth and love to them. If they lived a way that was different than him, he still included them at the dinner table.
That's right.
But he didn't let people push him around, beat him up, anything like that. The reason why he went to the cross and died is because that was part of his plan, to shed his blood to cover, the sins of mankind. But it wasn't because he was weak. Mm-hmm. Jesus wasn't weak. The Apostle Paul said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." The literal translation is, "Imitate me as I imitate Christ." So he was imitating Christ, and these were tough people. Jesus, flipped over the money lenders' tables when they had made God's temple into like a place of buying and selling, and that's not what it was about. And he made a whip out of rope, and he whipped the people out of there. Like he was tough, and we can be tough. King David, if you look in the Old Testament, Israelite king, the most famous king, loved by Jews around the world and Christians and people from Israel. He was tough. I mean, he was a king. And before he was a king, he was a warrior. He was a general. And before he was a warrior, he was a shepherd boy. And that wasn't like him just picking daisies. He was like fighting wolves to protect the sheep. So I think true godly figures are both strong and sensitive at the same time. Yeah. And that's the balance.
I like that because you actually took you're taking my question out of my head. When you talk about strong and sensitive, King David, while he had that mental toughness, he also had this weakness.
Yeah.
Right? He had this weakness of women.
Oh yeah, that was his weakness.
So I bring it back to you. What is your weakness and what brings you down? Like, what is your kryptonite?
My kryptonite? Well, good news about, let's say my kryptonite was as King David's. I have the most beautiful wife in the world that I'm married to, so my eyes are only for her, and it's been that way for 22 years.
Right.
For me, in all honesty and transparency, it would probably be anger. And that doesn't mean I'm running around angry all the time, but meaning you can't love and be angry at the same time. Like you can't operate on the frequency of love and mercy and forgiveness and be angry. But there's a lot to be angry about because like people are jerks, people are rude.
Are you an angry driver?
No, not an angry driver. But I get angry at angry drivers. Like, what's wrong with this guy? Is he serious?
Like, you don't know what I'm flipping you to bird right under there. Like,
yeah. So I think I think that can be anyone's kryptonite, the emotion of anger. And anger is not bad. The Bible talks about having righteous anger or righteous indignation. So you can be angry, like if you find out that there's something wrong being done against children in the world, you can be like, I'm so angry about that. Like, oh, something needs to be done.
Yeah.
Or, you see innocent people being killed in a war, like, that's, God gets angry about things. The Bible, gives examples, and it's always when people are doing wrong and they're hurting others, he gets angry. So we can have righteous indignation, but if you have anger, meaning unforgiveness, you can't forgive others, you can't walk in mercy, you can't extend forgiveness and grace, then you won't be operating in that. Your heart won't be set. So you can't have anger and love operating at the same time. Like, anger brings you down to the lowest vibration. Love brings you up to the highest. They're opposites. So that's the hardest thing. But the Bible teaches, to when you follow after God, you have to take up your cross daily and follow after him. So taking up your cross means, he was crucified on the cross. So it means dying to yourself and crucifying like your will and saying, not my will, but thy will be done, and being led by God's Spirit.
So that's how you deal with your anger.
Yeah, it's every day saying, God, today's not my day, it's your day. Lead me in this day. Lead me, Holy Spirit. Fill me with your presence. Help me be the person that you've created me to be. And then God's Spirit can put your human nature in its place, so to speak, and keep it where it needs to be.
Yeah. So before you go into a stunt role, how do you prepare yourself mentally?
Mentally, so everyone that I know in the stunt world and that I've worked with, we're all martial artists, like lifelong martial artists or military, and most of the military guys are special forces. And so I think mentally we've already been prepared just in our lifestyle and our life choices. And then actually once you're on set, it's just the fun part. We're just there like having fun. We're serious because we got to get a job done, but the military guys are like, no one's shooting bullets at us, so this is like fun. They often in the side will joke like, man, these like drama queens, but they're talking about the men and women. These drama queens just crying about all this stuff on set, and we're just here doing make believe like this is a good life, So once you're on the set, it's a good life. It's all fun, but yeah, the producers worry because time is money, and they only have a certain amount of money and a certain amount of time. But yeah, we're just there to have fun and just do a good job, and so we get the next gig.
I was thinking about this because I knew I was going to see you today. I did improv.
Oh yeah,
right, for a couple of months, and for me, it was really hard to stay in character when it came to be like being mean
Okay,
to
yeah.
someone, and it was hard to stay into character. Like one time I was arguing with a woman over her husband. Like she slept with my husband, and we had to, and it was very tough for me to stay in
Yeah.
character. How do you stay in character being the bad guy? Because you're not. You're so opposite. What does it take to stay in character?
So for me, some actors and actresses, they call it method. They go method, and they actually in their mind become the person, and then they have to dredge up all these emotions from hurts in their past, and it's a very painful process for them. But
Right.
then you see their performance, and that's when you see like these unbelievable Academy Award winning performances. But it's very painful for them to go through. For me, I just pretend that I'm angry. I don't actually get myself angry, or I don't actually get myself mean.
Right.
Just you got to go back to that childlike mindset, and just like when you were a kid and you pretended you were in a cardboard box and you pretended it was a rocket ship. It's that same thing. You got to have that childlike heart, and just like, okay, I'm just playing this character who's mad. And when you're mad, you talk louder, you yell, but you're not really mad. But if you start to tap into emotions, it makes it a lot more difficult. So
Right.
for me, I just pretend. A quick funny story that came to my mind, if I can share.
Yes.
So I told you when I was young, I was doing martial arts. I wanted to be a priest, and all these things. I became a preacher, became a grandmaster in karate. All these things worked together for me to be doing stunts, and I did acting when I was a kid. But one of the things me and my friends used to do when we were like teenagers is we go in public and we do these things we call scenes, where we would get together and go, okay, we're going to do a scene, and we pretend that there was some problem or some issue in a public space, and we think it was funny how the people reacted. And this is before there was no cell phones to record it. We were doing it just for our own kicks.
Uh-huh.
So we'd go places and I would fall downstairs and pretend, oh my gosh, my back. And I remember we were at in Westwood, I think it was Jerry's Deli or something, and it used to have like it was a 2-story, and I fell down the whole flight of stairs in front of everybody. I was telling my wife and kids the other day, and they were like, hey, I can't believe you did that. But I knew how to fall from karate, and I thought, well, I'll just do the same thing down the stairs. And I rolled down, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to sue you guys, and all my friends were just dying laughing. So I had part of me like that kind of attention. I think that's why
Right.
you have
Okay.
to have that. So I think that's what prepared me for what I do now, because we would just do it for fun. And then in karate, we would do public performances where we would pretend we're beating each other up, do these fight sequences.
Yeah.
And then people go, oh, wow, karate looks amazing. You pretend you knock each other out. So that's basically what stunt fighting is. So we were already doing that
Right.
when we would do performances.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's another thing. But I thought that was a funny random story, but it just came into my mind.
So, what is your biggest pet peeve when you're on set?
Um, Well, I think, I remember the movie I did a year ago. It was freezing. It was like 30 some degrees. We were in a big warehouse. Um, but no one cares. No one's like, oh, let me get you warm, or let
Oh
me,
yeah,
let me get you
yeah.
like an extra snack, or it's
Right,
like, no,
right.
we're not cut for dinner yet. Dinner's cutting at 1 a.m. tonight or whatever. So there, you got to just kind of tough it up. And, but I have resilience, and I've gone without food. I've gone without, things for periods of time, by my own choosing, like through fasting and stuff. So
Right,
I put
right.
myself in cold and training, running around in, shorts in the snow and stuff. So I think my resiliency from things like that. Then you can be on set, and I say it's a pet peeve, but it's just internal. It's nothing that ends
Right.
up causing me to act out or do anything, because
Yeah.
again, if you live that lifestyle of discipline and structure and good habits and building toughness, resiliency, then you can be basically put in any circumstance and you could come out on top.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what you're talking about is your character and the core of who you are.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not about what's going on around you. It's about who you are and how you respond. You have
Yes,
a choice on how you
for
respond
sure.
to what's happening
Yeah,
around
that's
you.
a good that's a good way to put it. Yes, because there's always things that will bother us, but you don't have to respond to them. So
Right.
you say a pet peeve, and yeah, there's things that bother me, but I don't do any, what are you going to do about it? You just suck it up, and
Right.
and you go on, and you don't have to let it cause you to act out, or let your circumstances define you. You have to keep the core of who you are the same at all times,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
and bad, tough and easy.
Yeah. But you're talking about disciplines. What is your daily routine? Like, do you have a morning routine?
So I kind of have a loose routine,
Mm-hmm.
but then I let my day organically kind of flow. But Yeah, so when I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I drink water, take vitamins. I try to go outside and walk barefoot in my grass. Try to get some morning sun or afternoon sun if I can't get morning sun. I just think it's important to kind of connect with nature for health and things. So I like to do grounding and get sun and get my vitamins, and then I fast until noon. Um, they call it intermittent fasting. So
Yeah.
I'll eat between like noon and 8. That's my eating window, and then I don't eat the rest of the time. Um, and then I get a weight training workout a couple days a week in there. I'll do some, every day I'll do some stretching and some movements and just to kind of keep my body loose.
Yeah.
I like to, read and study different topics. So I do a lot of reading and studying just of everything, politics and weather and I don't know, anything.
Yeah.
I don't do any like, even though I do movies, I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of TV. I like to absorb information. So I just study information all day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I like the fasting thing. I fast most days. I fast. I only eat between 6 hours, between 8 and 2.
Yeah. 6 hours is good too, because
Yeah.
then if you get like past 17 hours, they call it a autophagy, where your body starts to eat its bad cells, the
Right.
senescent cells. And then, so any cells that have the potentiality to become damaging to your body, like cancer or anything, your body eats them. But I think that starts at like 16 hours or something. But yeah, if you go into those deeper hours, it's really good for you. So
Yeah.
but for me, I think because of the weight training stuff, I've tried to do the 6 hours and I just can't. I get too weak. I think
Okay.
because of the weight training and stuff, my body has the demand, like, no, you better eat right
You
now.
better eat.
But I do have
Yeah.
specific times where I'll go, oh, I'm going to do a 3-day fast.
Yeah.
In my younger years, I did a lot of fasting when I first got into my spiritual walk, and I did a lot of 40-day fasts, and
Yeah.
I think those were very foundational to my spirituality and my health. And
That's incredible. You did a 40-day fast.
yeah, I've done like 6 or 7 40-day fasts.
Like, okay. So did you eat? Like how? What
No,
is
no
a 40?
eating. Fast. When I say fast, I'm not talking. Some people say fast, like, oh, I didn't watch TV for 40 days, but I'm talking about just drinking water.
Just drinking water.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of them are juice fasts,
Right.
because I
Okay.
like to keep,
Okay.
I kept active. It's, a water fast only, you literally have to kind of just, your whole life has to be chill for those 40 days because
Oh
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
so
You
weak.
can't burn calories
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I did. Interesting is Craig T. Nelson, I was friends with his son Noah, and Craig, the actor,
Yeah.
famous actor, and so he invited me to this men's group that he was doing, and this was like 25 years ago, and he brought this preacher who would talk to people about, oh, you need to just fast and pray, and we need to fast and pray for this nation, and
Right.
so at the end, the preacher came up to me and he put his hands on me to pray, and he said, "Oh, you're going to go on a 40-day fast." And in my mind, I was like, "There's no way possible." And literally the next day, I just felt the Holy Spirit speak to my heart. God speaks in that still small voice. It's
Right.
not audible. People go, "Oh, you think you hear from God," but it's like listening to your conscience.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's God speaking in your heart. And I knew, oh wait, I have to do this. Like I have to do it. And I started, and then I was empowered to do it, which I knew was God, because I knew without God I
Yeah.
couldn't have done it. And I did like my first 40-day fast, and really for like a 5-year period, I probably only ate like 2 years if you added all the time up, because I did like all these 40-day fasts and 10-day fasts and 21-day fasts and 3-day fasts. But it's a lot easier when you're young. Now I do my intermittent fasting, and that's enough. And on a rare occasion,
Yeah.
I'll do a whole 24 hours, or just for health purposes, like a 3-day fast. But what I've learned in fasting, from all my years of fasting, I've been fasting, off and on for like 25 years,
Hmm.
26 years. It's super good for your health and your longevity and like disease prevention. You don't have to do 40-day fasts, but like just a 3-day fast, a 24-hour fast, like it really resets you. And then spirituality and emotionally, like if you're struggling with something emotionally and you just can't get through it,
Mm-hmm.
like if you do a 24-hour fast, like you'll have a breakthrough. Like it just
Yeah.
happens. The Bible, Jesus, taught his disciples to fast. The
Yeah.
Bible talks about, there's a scripture that says some can come out only but by prayer and fasting. And it was talking about that in the scripture, the disciples were trying to cast demons out of people, and they went back to Jesus and said, "We couldn't cast the demons out. What's going on?" And Jesus said, "Some can come out only but by prayer and fasting." So there's certain demons in your life that you will not be able to overcome unless you pray and you fast. And when you fast, it's because your body becomes weak. But when your body weakens, all those things that pull on you to cause you to make wrong decisions and do wrong, they become quieted, and then your spirit man can kind of come to the forefront, and then you can all of a sudden think clearly and make proper decision making and realize, oh, this thing I'm hurt about, I can overcome it, or these emotions I'm feeling are actually from something in the past that I can confront in my mind and get through it and then move forward, or I can forgive the people that caused it. So it brings a lot of clarity, and I highly recommend people, again, don't just jump into some 40-day fast.
40-day fast. No, we're not.
You don't have to do a 40-day fast.
Yeah.
But for me, like I've lived a lifestyle of fasting, and it's very good for your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I grew up in a Muslim home, and we did the month
Ramadan,
of
right?
Ramadan. Yes. And as a little girl, all of us had to do it. Even as little as you are, everybody had to do it. So I'm familiar with the whole fasting thing. So I love fasting too, and I get what you're saying. When you're hungry or you deplete yourself of food, I think your other senses are heightened also.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's where you're talking about. You're able to see those demons that you struggle with,
right,
and able to overcome it. And part of when I fast and I get hungry, I kind of lean on God more.
Oh yeah, for sure. You have to get me through this.
Okay, get me
Talk
through
about
this.
building resiliency. Don't give your body food that it starts to give you pain and stuff to tell you better feed me, and you go, no, I know I have to get through this.
I have to get through this. That's true resiliency. I love one thing you said though. I've been listening to this guy Gary Brecker, and one of the things he said is, go outside barefoot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you have to feel the frequency and the vibration of the earth, and then in the sun in the morning.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're doing all these things that I just found out and had breakthroughs out.
Yeah, because society's taught us to separate from nature, or that nature's dirty or icky, or we don't need it.
Yeah, and it's not.
But when you connect to the earth, there's studies that have shown, that I've seen, that it removes inflammation out of your body. Like within like 30 minutes, all your inflammation can be gone. And inflammation causes a lot of mental and emotional problems in people.
Oh yeah, it's the root cause of all the issues that
when
you
they have inflammation in the brain, and all of a sudden that's out, and all of a sudden they feel better. And inflammation in your body is what causes disease and joint pain and all these things. So like when you connect with the earth, you're and you exchange those the negative ions. You get the negative ions, and it
he was talking about all the ions, the negative and the positive ions, and it was so interesting. So I've been listening to him and learning a lot.
Yeah, that's really good.
This is so good. I feel like we can go on forever.
Oh yeah,
and you
for
didn't
sure.
think you talk a lot.
I know. Well, as soon as I start preaching, I know that I can keep going.
well, yeah.
I did okay though, right?
Yeah, no, this is really good, but unfortunately, I have another guest who's going at 4:30. But do you have a takeaway for our audience today? Something you want to leave with us?
Okay, what's the takeaway? The takeaway from today, if I use my life as an example, is follow your passion. Find out what your passion is. If you don't know what your passion is, what do you think about every day, or what do you wish you were doing, or what do you hope you could do one day? Instead of hoping to do it one day, just do it now. Start it now, even if it's small. Your goal might be to have some big, huge thing, but start small. Even if no one knows about it, no one hears about you, just start small, follow it. Allow God in your heart, allow God in your life. God's a gentleman. He won't force himself onto you, but if you welcome him, he'll come into your life, and he'll inspire your life, and he'll inspire your vision, and he'll reveal what he purposed you for. And that's maybe why you haven't found your vision yet, because God's waiting for you to ask him what it is, and he'll reveal it to you. When you're in God's purpose, that's where you find joy and happiness. That's when you can overcome and persevere and become the person you're meant to be and destined to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I have for the first time met a pastor, a martial artist, and a Hollywood actor. It's the first time I've met someone with all those credentials.
Thank you.
So your life is incredible. Your resiliency and mental toughness is incredible. And I want to thank you so much for, being so vulnerable and sharing with us.
Thank you, Sally.
So,
you did a good job. You brought it. You pulled it out of me. You did good.
So with that, friends, it's a wrap today. Until next time.